Hello, it's Michelle again. So last week I gave you a quick lab tour of our lab, but this week I thought we could start a series of just short videos talking about the different steps of lab work when the artifacts come in from the field. So this week will be step one, and that is when we check the provenience of the artifacts that came in from the field and we wash them. And so the very first step, provenience, is always the very most important thing. So we always want to make sure we know where everything came from. And I know I talked about provenience and FSNs a little bit in the previous video, but just one more time. Provenience is where it came from, like what unit it was, what level it was, if it was in a feature, if we have a GPS coordinate on it, that kind of thing. And so what I do is I check my paperwork, and I know that I have washed FSN 295, so now I need to wash FSN 296. And there should be 9 bags, and I haven't washed it yet. And it is from a unit labeled 542, 594, and it's from level 6, so from 50 centimeters to 60 centimeters deep in that unit. So I go to the back, and I already brought the bags up. I found 9 bags. You can kind of see them up here. That's all 9 of the bags. And then every bag, before I wash it, I'm going to check and make sure that that provenience information written on the bag is correct. So I've got Richards Bridge, Area 5, 2015 347, FSN 296, which is what I want. It's from 50 to 60 centimeters, 542, 594. So that is all correct. So then I'm going to take this bag, open it up, and inside the bag, we have an inside bag tag, because we always try to double and triple all of our information. So on that bag tag, I take it out of the plastic bag. That just protects it from getting dirty inside the bag. And again, Richards Bridge, FSN 296, 542, 594, level 6, depth. So that's all correct. So now I'm going to take this card and I'm going to put it on my drying tray. And on my drying tray, I'm going to take a piece of chalk, and just on this outside edge, I'm going to write 296 so that when I put it on the rack, like you saw them last week, it'll have that number on the outside, so it's easy to see that that's the FSN I'm working with. So then I have right here this pink bucket. It's full of water. You can see it in there. Take this colander, put it in there, and just take some of the artifacts, pour them into the colander. Keep my bag over here so it doesn't spill on the floor. And I'm submerging the artifacts in the water, getting them a little bit wet. If I had anything particularly fragile in here that I knew about, I wouldn't just submerge that into water. But you can see, like in this bag, things that were fragile in the field, they've put in separate containers. So those kinds of things you always check and are a little more careful with before you just go sticking it in the water. But since this is all just in a general bag, I feel pretty comfortable being able to put it in the water. So then I have a bunch of wet artifacts, and I just kind of take them out one at a time. So I've got probably a piece of pottery here. Kind of hard to tell because it's dirty right now. But I just submerge it in the water and take this toothbrush, just a regular old toothbrush. That's buy like a big pack of cheap ones because they're just for washing artifacts. And I'm just brushing the dirt off. I've heard someone describe it as if you were like pressing on a tomato skin. So you don't want to break the skin, but you want to get the dirt off. And that's what we're doing here. And if I saw anything that looked like paint or any kind of features on here, I'd be even more careful to not destroy any features, because that's what we're kind of looking for, is decorative styles, things like that, especially on pottery. But this one looks to be pretty plain, so I can just brush all the dirt off. I want to get the dirt off the edges too, because that's often where you can see the shell tempering in the pottery. But you just want to get it as clean as you can so that you can look for features on the artifacts when we get to the analysis part. And I'll just do that for all of the artifacts in this whole thing. You can do it for everything. Daub, bone, shell. Shell you have to be a little careful with. It can be a little bit more fragile. But everything in here is washable, and I just go through and wash, and all 9 bags, just use trays when they get filled up. I get a new tray and do the same thing over and over. Always make sure the inside bag tag matches the outside bag and what's on my paperwork. and just go step by step. It takes a while, but we get it done, and eventually we'll get on to step 2. See you next week.